I'd like to call to order the County Commission meeting for March 16th. Commissioner McElwain, you lead us in prayer.
Let us pray. Thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for everyone that's able to come out tonight. Be with our servicemen and women, and be with our loved ones and families as we're away. Be with each and every one of us as we go back home tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Everyone stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Simpkins?
Here.
Mr. Ledger?
Here.
Mr. McElwain?
Here.
Mr. Beatty? Mr. Dawson? Ms. Spicer? Mr. Buckner?
Here.
Mr. Britt?
Here.
Mr. Petty? Here. Mr. Williams? Mr. Grove? Ms. Gray?
It's good to see you all here tonight. First order of business is approval of the February 17th regular session minutes. Open the floor for motion. Motion by Commissioner Petty, second by Commissioner Buckner. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item number 2, public comments. Any public comments signed up for tonight? Seeing none. Next item is committee reports. I understand we have a new Ag Committee Chairman, Commissioner McElwain.
Miss Allison brought us our, thank you, Mike Petty. Yeah, thank you, Spicer. She brought us our pamphlet here tonight. The 4-H kids, the students throughout the county just been doing a lot. We got good leadership there. And anything to add, Miss Allison?
Just to invite everybody to our open house on March the 24th, next week from 4 to 6. Come and go, there'll be snacks.
Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Any other committees to report? Hearing none, next item of business is the appointments. We brought before you last time Ms. Terry Malone, our Economic Development, bringing her to have her as director, and that way we combine the Department of Economic Development and Tourism. Open the floor for a motion. Motion by Commissioner Ledger, second by Commissioner McElwain. Any questions or discussion? Ms. Malone is in the back there tonight, and she even waved, so. Hearing none, all in favor vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next item, a resolution, financial quarter report, all funds except schools. Mr. Hall.
I don't have any new business to discuss on the quarterly reports unless you have something to bring up.
Any question, Mr. Hall? Open the floor for a motion. Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Spicer. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 2 is amendments, all funds except schools. Mr. Hall.
Okay, the only new amendment that I sent you out last week was on the 171 general capital projects funds. I sent that out to you Thursday or Friday. You had 3 other funds, general fund, highway, and capital, industrial park fund 172. You had some items on that. The only thing I sent out that was new is the General Capital Projects Fund 171, and that had $500,000 other grants. I thought that was worthy to go ahead and send out. It's a grant that I think Miss Malone, Mayor, am I right or wrong? She got that? Thank you, Terry, or Miss Malone, for historic courthouse interior. And that's a lot of money we've already spent of our own money, but that coming back in kind of replenishes that fund to help with other capital projects. So that's good work on her behalf right there. But that right there I thought we'd go ahead and get that in there so you guys could see that. So that's the only change I have right there. But I need that amendment also approved tonight.
Any questions for Mr. Hall? Open the floor for a motion. Motion by Commissioner Petty, second by Commissioner Beatty. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none. All in favor vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hall.
Thank you.
Item number 3 is Homeland Security Grant for $16,339.30. Mr. Fisher.
Yes, this is the Homeland Security grant that we brought before you last meeting. This is a 100% reimbursement from Homeland Security. We purchased the equipment, send in the invoices, and they reimburse us for those costs. This one, like I described last time, it's pretty tight on what we could purchase with it, so we're replacing an older UTV with a newer one for our search and rescue teams.
Any questions for Mr. Fisher? We'll open the floor for a motion. Motion by Commissioner Spicer, second by Commissioner Brett. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item number 4, State Fire Marshal's Office grant for $11,130. Mr. Fisher.
This is the same type of grant that we get from the State Fire Marshal's Office. It's a 100% reimbursement grant. We're using that to purchase some outdated turnout gear. Wind up buying about 3 sets. Same thing, we purchase the gear, submit the invoices, and then they reimburse the county.
Any questions for Mr. Fisher? Open the floor for a motion. Motion by Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner McElwain. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Item number 5, age debt for solid waste. This was to put in a policy on how that could be done, where the solid waste department could charge off debt through the electric department at the end of its term. Mr. Reagan can give us a little bit of overview of that.
Yeah, so hopefully you've had a chance to take a look at it before tonight, but we're, in effect, we're tracking what the state requires of governmental entities in terms of not continuing to hold accounts on the books after a certain period of time. And so we have created a policy to conform to that requirement that is going to, for the ones that are of a certain age that are supposed to be taken off the books, this is going to give the solid waste chairperson over there the ability to do that and to clean that up. But it does carve out that if it is one that has not been actively, collection's not actively been sought for it, or if there's real property there that the person who owes it owns, then it's not to come off the list and it'll stay there. And so in a nutshell, that's it. You could get down into the weeds about some of these different statutes or rules, but basically that's what this does.
Any questions for Mr. Reagan? Hearing none, open the floor for a motion. Motion by Commissioner Petty, second by Commissioner Williams. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. Reagan had to remind me what I did last month. That's on the rezoning request. These are the first one, number 6, the rezoning request for Trent Smith, Isla Jefferson, tax map 109, parcel 032.00, 2.2 acres, Eno Road, Dickson, Tennessee, A1 agriculture to R3 residential, 2nd district. This is the one that we had a public hearing on last month. Open the floor for a motion. Motion by Commissioner Ledger, second by Commissioner Simpkins. Any questions or discussion? Thank you. Hearing no other questions, discussion. Thank you. I do have a motion second. If there are not any other questions, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item number 7, rezoning request for Raw Colin Anesta, tax map 136, parcel 028.18, 19,400 square feet, 2652 Highway 46 South, Dickson, Tennessee, A1 agriculture to C2 commercial, 7th district. Up for promotion. Motion by Commissioner Buckner. Have a second. Second by Commissioner Spicer. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item number 6, other business. The first two things I have on that is what used to be called the C-20253. Now it's got a simple name called Debt Obligation Report. That's the notification of the 2 borrowings you approved that we've gone through, that the $850,000 for the fire and EMS equipment and the $775,000 on loan purchase. So those have been done, and that's just to be there to point to y'all that it has been done. Under other business, school presentation, school representative.
Thank you, Mayor, County Commissioners. Our chairman of the board, Sonia Brogdon, sends her regrets. She had a work meeting the night that held her up, so I got invited to present to you. Following up from our December presentation, I spent about, I think, 21 minutes was official time, going over about 2 hours worth of information on how we came about this resolution we presented for you during the work session. The school board has really worked hard on making sure that what we present is what our schools are needing at this point in time, largely by some updating of older facilities. Remind you that we talked about the middle school was our approaches as our high schools. One of them 20 years old, 25 years old, and the other we've done extensive work on, little roof to finish up over there. Elementary is all in pretty good shape at this point in time. With our student population not really growing over the past few years, adding a new school didn't seem to be a focal point for us at that point, but getting our middle schools, which we determined would likely need to survive many more years in their location, was a big focus. So with that, you were presented a resolution of a total of $47 million, $30 million from county funding and $17 million from school reserves to put towards extensive projects on the middle school remodels, mostly in the Charlotte Middle School area. Secondly would be the Dickson Middle School, and then the roof at White Bluff or William James Middle School, along with completing a roof at Dickson High School. Transportation expansion or a new building for transportation that's been well outdated, where the buses inside the garage with the door shut, it's hard to walk around the buses to even get the work done on those. We felt that was a need at this point in time too. So all that's included in a $47 million resolution that I present for you officially tonight and ask for your approval.
Any questions for Mr. Haley?
Mayor, I can't hear half what you're saying.
Okay. Do you mind hitting it again there, and we'll get you right to the microphone?
That's okay, I mean, you need to be a little closer to the mic, turn it up some.
Let's pull that.
I can certainly start over, or I can address any part there for you. Yeah.
Any questions?
Nobody gonna say nothing, I guess I'll start. You know, you gonna go ahead, no.
I just wanted to make a comment. I know there were comments made last meeting about not getting any reports or follow-ups on things that have been done in the past, and I have seen those follow-ups, and I have gotten those reports, and the school board has worked very hard on getting all those repairs done that they had set out to do for the $15 million. I know these schools need these maintenance repairs done in a desperate way. They're not safe. We need to make our students safe, our faculty safe. We have families that are looking at Dickson County to move here. The first thing they're going to do is look at our schools, because that's what you do when you have a family and you have children that are school age. We need to make sure that they are updated. We don't have any new schools we need to build right now. The county is in a good position for it. It wouldn't be a blank check. It would be as needed, like a construction loan, like Banker Bob mentioned in our first meeting. I have not heard anything that would prevent me from voting for this. I think this is something needed, and it's been in the works, in the planning for a long time. And I want to thank you for working very hard on this.
Thank you for your comments, and I hope we've looked out for the taxpayers' money in the process. That's been, all 6 of us are taxpayers and have the same intention too, so thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, to follow up on Cindy, you know, I do appreciate, we did send this back to y'all about 3.5 years ago, telling you that we wanted a long-term plan, and y'all have come back, like Commissioner Williams said. with a long-term plan. My one issue with it is maxing out the county's borrowing capability. I don't believe that we can max it out just to max it out. We've settled the next county commission with, if something happens or a disaster, another project comes up, that we don't have to raise taxes and put that on the next mayor and county commission. I've never been one about maxing something out. And I've talked to Steve, and I appreciate you this week. I've talked to some people at the school board. I've talked to the mayor a lot, some other commissioners. With the 2 to 3% growth that y'all have seen over the last few years and what we're projecting to do, I mean, Steve, wouldn't you say that you're going to print another $12 to $15 million back in your fund balance next year, correct? Ain't that what you think?
No, I think that we're probably looking, if it stays on track with the past years, it'd be more in the $4 million range per year. After you wait a year or two to look at that, it turns into 12 when you don't put it out on projects.
Right.
So it's probably $4 million, and I think even some projections this year may be a little bit less. I'd probably defer to Ms. Valerie on that, but $4 million is more of a safe number.
Well, y'all been growing a lot more than that the last few years, haven't they, Mayor?
I'd have to look and tell you on average what it's been. So, again, we go back into that issue where we allowed them to go into a negative, into their fund balance to operate, but if they make it back up whenever, because again, that number is somewhat artificial because it's based on the MOE versus true numbers. So we've been hitting it almost on the nose where they're back made whole again. Now, there's not a lot of excess, but there is some excess, but I would have to go through those numbers and give you a good answer, Commissioner.
So I do believe that, like the mayor said, the school in Charlotte needs to be on a long-term plan. That's what we need to borrow money for, and I agree with that. Y'all got $17 million. I think that's the cosmetic and the roof that the mayor was talking about. So I just not from completely maxing ours out and completely tying the next mayor's hands and the next mayor. And we've talked about it, Steve. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't think it's good business. I don't think it's good government when this could be a 2 to 3 year project, I believe. I don't believe it's nothing going to happen in a year. So I'm prepared tonight to make a motion to support for all the list of projects provided by the school board, with the board to come back to us with a short-term project cost and be funded from the school's balance, and for the mayor to proceed in talking to the lender to bring back to us to borrow $25 million to fund a long-term project for schools. And that's what I'm prepared to make a motion for tonight.
It's a proper motion by Commissioner Grove. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner McElwain. Let's continue the discussion if there is any. Any other discussion or questions? Commissioner Simpkin.
I just want to know how you feel about that, if dropping that to 25.
I think with what we're understanding, I believe I understand the motion Commissioner Grove has made, is that again, I'll try to give the short answer, but yeah, the short answer, yes, I am comfortable with that, with the understanding that the money the county borrows needs to be done on a project that is long-term, that has a life that exceeds the life of the loan, which on this borrowing would have to be $20 million. Commissioner Grove is correct also that if this comes back, or there are other projects that were mentioned, such as a bus garage, if that's the will of the school board and the commission, that would be something eligible to borrow because it would have a 20-year life. But I think anything less than that, with just simple repairs and things of that type, need to come out of the school's fund balance that would not have a 20-year life. So yes, I am comfortable with that because we're not binding the commission on anything tonight. What I think with this motion, if I understood it correctly, is that we're sending the school back on the list of work they've done and telling them to go and start doing specific planning where we can get what true cost is on that school in particular, which I know will take a little bit more time, along with the money that they need. I want to call it the $17 million to do shorter term repairs that might not require as much study and effort as doing a construction plan. So the short answer back is yes, I'm comfortable with that motion.
How long a plan, Steve, do you think this whole thing is? I asked that last month, and I don't know, is this a 2-3 year project?
And I heard your questions, and my personal reply, I would hope it wouldn't take 2 or 3 years. Getting the funding and the understanding of the funding is always a challenge. Spending the money on plans, as we did a few years ago, that never turn into a productive project, is a concern of mine and yours and the rest of the school board members. So we limit what we put in for the upfront, mostly with our design team getting information. I've talked with them earlier, and if you're talking about final build plans where you have the fire marshal involved, you have every bit of the plans involved, I would venture to guess you're probably in the 5 to 6 month range getting that kind of detail. But from a preliminary type plan that would be renderings, drawings, showing good budget estimates and all that, I would hope that I could commit them to a 90 to 120 day window to get that information at the most. They probably aren't going to look at me kindly when I say that, but I think it can be done. The other projects, and I agree with the mayor, I agree with Mr. Grove, that when we put this together, we ran into situations several years ago with the commissioners looking at the fact that we had a reserve fund when we knew it needed to be spent towards projects, but you really can't spend it towards projects without knowing there's a plan or approval for some longer range things that would need to be done too. So tying those together was important to us this time. So while I don't disagree with that approach, I do think the $25 million is going to be a push to make that work. I think the bus garage is needed. I'm hoping the school will come in that range. It could be a little higher, it could be a little lower. Hopefully it would be a little lower. It depends on a lot of factors on the final design, but it's going to be a close number at that. Also reiterate that our reserve money is made up of revenues, mostly sales tax, that we don't budget at the beginning of the year as revenues to be conservative, to avoid having to be a tax burden on the community to come back short to raise taxes for schools. The operation budget is held at bay by the MOE, which I agree with that budgeting process. It creates the image that there is a lot of money sitting out there that is just excess money, when in fact it's from lack of doing those projects. And if we're going to split it up, I think that the school board would likely come back with an amendment to our reserve money, but it would probably be more than 17 million, because there are annual expenses to tie with that, some expenses for buses, some computers and things like that that we have alluded to the last 6 months. And I would like to see you see all that at one time. So it would probably be more than just a $17 return, 17 million return. And I don't want to quote a number that would stick, but it might be more in the 19, 20 million range to get those projects done along with those expenses.
To have it in the rainy day fund, correct?
An interesting comment is the comfortable range. I think that my comfortable range, I've always held to, in talks with some of you and the mayor, that I like the 18, maybe a 17 million range. I think the state tells us that we have to have, $3 to $5 million, depending on what percentage they use. I think the leadership from the county, I've always been told, was 12 to 14 million. And if you'll ask the finance director, Ms. Valerie, she prefers 100 million at most times to make life a little bit easier. But we all have a different range. But I think anywhere from the 16 to 18 is a very comfortable range.
Y'all come back with 20 million out of y'all's, we're still well within that comfortable range, is what I'm saying.
It'd be up to the board to make that decision, but it'd be in mind. I can speak for me. And I think with a little time, she'd be okay with it too. I think we're going to be in the 45 to 47 million range. That was a very tight number to begin with, and we left some projects off. We prioritized. We stayed mostly just on middle school, finished the high school, and our goal with that is to keep this body, whoever it is, and whether it's 3 years from now, 10 years from now, having come back and having jobs that were halfway done. It doesn't do us any good to add classrooms to a 70-year-old building if we don't take care of a mechanical roof and bring that building up to speed at one time. We have security requirements that when we do that type of remodel now, we must do certain security features that are required, that have to be done, that need to be done. But bringing those buildings up to speed as we go is the best long-range plan for me as a taxpayer, you or whoever is going to be the next commissioners to deal with. And we've done all this with that in mind, hoping to avoid creating a burden down the road. Is it to say that we won't need anything in the next 3 to 5 years? I know you asked me that question. You know, can you tell me you won't ask a new building or need a new building in a certain time frame? This board has not looked at it in time like past boards and like past commissions. When we talk about looking at what time we're going to need something, it's really based more, and we've studied it more from a number standpoint. If our student population remains the same, then we'll have the opportunity to create better facilities for our kids. If the population were to take off like we see in surrounding communities that dictates the space we have to have, then I might be back next year asking you for a new building. I don't see that in the Dickson County growth numbers myself. One thing we also have to consider as a school board, while our population might be hovering in the 7,700 range, there's 2,000 plus children that live in our community that aren't part of the public school system, whether they're in private school, whether they're in homeschool. And I think that number I shared might be even a little bit on the low side. It's a conservative number. We have to have space for anyone that wants to go to our public schools. We can't say, no, you chose to homeschool the last 5 years, you can't come. We have to leave a little bit of buffer zone to accept that. And those numbers change daily. They do come back into our system. Some come and some go. Depends on what the trend is in the community. Right now, the trend is vouchers. And as long as that goes on, there'll be some fluctuation in numbers. At some point in time, there may not be a place for some of those to go, or they may want to come back. We as a school board and you as a commission have to think that we have to have space for our community, whether they're going there or not, and be prepared for that potential ever so slight influx that might change that. So it's more numbers based than it is a time based.
Any other questions for Mr. Haley?
So I'm trying to understand this motion. So tonight, is this just sending this back to the school board, asking them to redo the resolution and bring another resolution back with these projects? Or are we turning them loose, the 17 million, to start the process? I guess I'm just trying to clarify that.
Yeah, and Commissioner Grove can correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I understand it is, it's simply saying that the commission, if you vote in favor of this, that you support the list of projects that they've provided you. That's kind of a starting point of, we're in support of the projects that you have provided, and we're comfortable with the range of numbers that we hear talked about right now. But what needs to happen is there needs to be an identification of short-term projects that can be funded by the school board's fund balance. And so they come back to you, it may be next month, they come back to you and say, here are 8 projects, eight things we want to fund from, that come from that list, that we want to fund from the school's fund balance. At that point then, you'd have to approve an amendment to the school's budget to appropriate those funds from the school's fund balance. And so that funding would then be there automatically. The second part of that motion that Commissioner Grove made was to have the mayor go ahead and start talking to the lender about borrowing the $25 million. That takes some time to work through the lender and get rate information. But at some point, that funding is not approved at this point. The lender will have its own form of resolution, just like you've seen with all the other borrowings, that would come back to this body. And at that time, you would vote to approve that resolution that would then put the funding in place. But the schools would still have to come and present the long-term projects at that point. And it may all be happening at the same time, but they're going to have to be presenting the long-term project and what the cost is. And hopefully between now and then, some of those cost estimates can be firmed up so that when schools come back and say, okay, we want a further budget amendment to appropriate additional monies to cover these long-term projects, that additional appropriation will be coming from the draw on the loan.
Let me make it clear, I do think that we want this wrapped up before August, September. You know what I mean? I think that our body and your body wants to get this took care of in the next few months, as quick as we can possibly get it took care of.
May I speak, Mayor?
Sure.
So in response to Mr. Reagan, that's the way I understand it, and I think this way that I understood even your motion. But I would, as he stated, I would expect the amendment aspect of it, hopefully, to be returned at your next meeting. I think we have budget numbers. As you mentioned in the work session, when you speak the numbers for a building or you speak the numbers for a project, that becomes the number. So we have good budgetary numbers. They're that far along and more. I'm hesitant to say, as talked about in the work session, that one roof is going to cost X amount of dollars. A good example is the high wall at the high school. We budgeted a number for that, and it came in many dollars below because of the RFQ process and the bidding process and getting it done. So I think packaging the projects together as a lump sum would be a much better spend of our money to get us the best bang for our buck. But I think it can be narrowed down enough that you would be comfortable with it.
Commissioner Dawson?
Yeah, Brian, let me get this straight. So what you're talking about, the mayor's borrowing the money, all right, and if it's gonna be 2 years before he actually comes back with amendments to use that money, the county be paying interest on that money for 2 years. Is that right?
That's more of a banker question. I'll leave that to the mayor.
Well, I mean, no, I mean, it's if he borrows the money and goes talks to the lender and approves it or whatever, the lender he's sitting there with the money, and the school's not going to use it for 2 years, we're going to pay interest on that money, right?
No.
You won't pay interest on it.
No.
So you just it's going to be like a line of credit. It's going to be.
Yes, sir. Won't be till we use it, but I would hope and think we wouldn't be at a 2-year project, but you just have to start the loan over, but yeah, that's simply it. It'd be a line of credit, and so you pay no interest until we actually pull money off of it and use it. So.
What do you collateralize that with?
General obligation is the faith and credit of Dickson County, Tennessee, and our credit rating. Biggest unsecured loan you can get.
Hey, I know all about them lines, believe me.
I bet you get one like that at the bank anytime you want it.
Hey, listen, I paid them people's salary down there for years.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Go ahead.
I guess just to kind of recap on that. So the way I'm seeing this is a 2-vote process. So you've got the vote. We're going to just say, for instance, if we approve the resolution that the school board sent to us, that's just a vote saying that we agree, and then they've got to come back with an amendment to their budget for the $17 million. So there's a motion there that would amend their budget for the $17 million. But also, they'd have to come back for the bond obligation once we have that number. So is it even worth time? And I know you've done this in the past, but is there even a reason to tie that number right now until we get that number, that bid? Could we just not approve the $17 million and release the school board to go on and do the projects they think they need to do and to start the construction plans on the school, and then when they get that number, they come back over here for the bond, and then the school, and then the county commission will be voting on the bond number. That may be 22 million, that may be 32 million, we don't know. But I'm just asking that question.
Well, no, I think, and again, I know we probably restated this motion, so Commissioner Grove and Mr. Reagan correct me, but tonight we're voting as much on a concept that the 17 million, I'm going to start using loose numbers, the 17 million, 25 million, for the very reasons you mentioned. If that school comes in at 15 million, that will be the request at that time. If it comes in for, I'll make it reasonable, 30 million, that could be the request at the time. But we're not bound by what this motion, we're basically telling the school board go make your plans, spend that money, because, we had discussion in the past, there's been money spent for plans that were never put in place. But if y'all are in favor of this concept in general, that's what we're doing, because the 17 million might turn into 16 million, it could turn into 22 million. It's not until y'all approve it and amend their budget. The same thing with the borrowing. So again, we've talked rough numbers at 25 million. I've heard less, maybe a little more. We don't know, but it's just to give a concept. And did I state that? And for y'all too in particular, and you, Mr. Heidi, is that correct?
Other than the 17 million, when we come back with the amendment, it will likely be a little bit more because of the other expenses that we would do during the year all at one time.
And then I think as Commissioner Grove said earlier, or maybe he and I talked about it last week offline, is the fact that even with the 17 million, using that number, as the school's fund balance, if it grows, they could take more money out of their fund balance and potentially borrow less from us, because again, everything we obviously do is on an estimation and using our best judgment. Probably going to be pretty close, but we're not going to hit a bullseye with it exactly. But as their fund balance grows, they may have $2 million more in projects that are not even online now. But that's going to be a living, breathing animal that comes in here to this commission for another 5.5 months and the next commission for the next 4 years. So it'll be the will of the body on that.
And Mayor, due to the city cutting their sales tax funding, that's probably going to cause the reserve fund to collect about $1 million less than it has in the past. Am I correct in that thinking?
Yeah, and that's what we saw. That's already been in for a year, and we basically saw that last year in the budgeting process. But even with that subtraction, we added some additional county funds, not quite $1 million, but we tried to bolster that along the way. And, that I think we've weathered that storm at this point.
Okay. I just want to thank the school board for their hard work. I know they worked really hard on this. I sit in a lot of meetings, and I know all this work I feel is very, very legitimate, and I know that needs to be done. I could speak very well to Dickson Middle School stuff because I've been in that school a lot, and I'm just assuming that the other schools are in the same situation. I know we need more seats at Charlotte Middle School for sure. I think you did a great job with $15 million. I know I was informed of what all went on. They come here, they did what we asked them to do. I don't have a issue with approving your resolution the way that you presented it myself. So I don't think you're going to take the money and do something irresponsible with it. So that's how I feel about it.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I don't think it's a question of taking the money and doing something irresponsible. I think it's a question of, as a legislative body, are we being responsible and conservative to not put this next mayor and this next commission against the wall in case something comes up? So if you go ahead and max that $30 million out, then you have a disaster and you have to borrow money. Go ahead and put that on the taxpayers, because we're going to have to raise taxes to cover it. So it's nothing about y'all's project or what you've done. It's being responsible and seeing out behind today. It's looking for that thing that's going to happen a year from now or 2 years from now that was unforeseen from us that might happen. And if it does happen, at least we got $5 million to fall back on without putting the burden of raising taxes on taxpayers. So that's the question with me. Are we going to be responsible enough to leave the taxpayer a buffer? Or are we just going to go ahead and max it out because y'all want it? That's my issue with the $5 million.
Any other?
Like Mr. Grove just got through saying, I mean, at the end of 2 years, we're gonna put that tax burden back on the county anyway. So what's the difference? And what I see, if you do it and they get control of the $30 million, it's just like the school superintendent told me that time. But when our budget is approved, we can't stop them from spending the money. We got to approve the amendment. So, I mean, I think it's about control. So I asked you the other night if you'd take care of that. It needs to be controlled, I mean, as far as I'm concerned.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
This is for you. So if they did do the $30 million, are we strapping the county to the point where if there was an emergency, there would not be an option to be able to borrow more money at all? Because I'm just saying it's kind of shaky ground when we can't plan if we're always going to what if. I mean, what if for the next administration, you know, they need to have this, and so maybe we don't need to do this right now, but we've been planning and things have been moving. So now we're going to just, you know, what if in case something happens then for the next mayor, and then the next administration comes along, are we not going to be able to do anything because what if for the next one? I'm just a little confused.
Well, and again, I don't mind walking back through that budget presentation I did on debt service, but we're in a position to take on a lot more debt than $25, $30 million. And again, we could reasonably take on $45 million in total debt, probably a little more. I'd have to go back to that. So our goal has never been to bind ourselves. And again, I apologize. I have to go back to the beginning on this. This is where we were 15 years ago when we opened a jail, and we didn't have this plan in place to either fund the debt or fund the operations. Well, we've passed that now. We're way past that. We have the option to fund things we can't even make up right now. So we're in extraordinary shape, and I know when I say it, it probably sounds to y'all self-serving, but the factual answer is we're in excellent financial shape, because we are literally talking about borrowing $25 million that it's already been figured into the tax rate. It requires no increase in taxes. We can borrow more money on top of that. Again, we have to borrow it responsibly, but that's why I agree with everything that's been said on that. But this plan was devised about 15 years ago to get us to this point. Commissioner Simpkins asked last time, what else do we have to do on county government side? Well, once these two historic buildings are finished this calendar year, we're done in the foreseeable future. There's this building in particular, the Justice Center, the two biggest building areas, we have room to expand into long after everyone sitting over there is long and gone. There are 30 and 40, 50-year buildings of what we got there. So our focus has turned back to schools at this point in time. And my saying was 3.5 years ago, talking to Dr. Weeks at the time, this is your chance to get these school buildings up to date and cleaned up. And using the term, we can look as much like a Williamson County school right now because of the flat student population growth. If we were, as Mr. Haley pointed out, if we were growing by bounds in students and started approaching 10,000 students, we wouldn't be talking about updating. We'd be building a school. So the iron was hot 3 years ago. We started this 3.5 years ago. Well, it's molten as can be right now. So, I mean, we need to get this done for these schools because at some point in time, student population is going to catch up with us. And so we've got to get these buildings fixed where we're not fixing buildings in 7 or 8 years and building a school. So the money's there to be done. And again, it's work by people like Mr. Hall, Mr. Reagan, Star Moore. There's people and all the department heads. We've been putting these numbers together for years. So it's not a fluke. We know what we're doing, and it's been done well. And it's taken work a lot of people, but we're prepared to take on debt without going to harming the taxpayer at this point into the foreseeable future. So, no, we're in great financial shape to take care of this project and several others that may come up. Yes, sir.
I like it because it's fixing what's broke. We're not, building new schools, look at building and buying land, and we're taking what we got and fixing it. And I think that's what we need to do if we're spending taxpayers' money. We need to fix what we already have, not look for something to go and do. So I like the concept of it myself.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I got a
That's fine. Anybody else got any comments?
One more. So it seems like to me like the 25 million is just kind of like an arbitrary number, because if it comes back at 22 or 32, then this commission's going to have to decide if they want to move forward with the project. So it's just kind of like, maybe we're just telling them, maybe that number helps the architectural firm draw the plans to fit that number. I don't know. Maybe that's the motive here, but I think what I'm hearing is we've still got to vote on a debt number at some point in time, and that may not be 25 million.
That's true. You have the final say.
Yeah, so I think that's what I'm trying to understand is, even though we're throwing this 25 million number out, it may actually not be that in the final resolution.
I think something else too, we're gonna have 5 different people on the commission. They might not feel the same way the commission does now. And they're gonna have a different mayor, so 2 years from now, they may not can get that passed, or a year from now. So,
Mr. Chair.
Sure.
Mr. Williams, thank you for your comments on that. And the school board's operated on the long-range plan of the county, what we've been told from the very beginning, and we have worked to stay within those means. We've done the same with our operation budget to keep it where it needs to be. I don't want to increase a tax burden. As a taxpayer, I don't. I think we squeezed pretty hard to make this project fit in 47 million. We spoke of 45 million at first. We didn't have our reserve number back. Our reserve number came back at 4 million above. So we chose to put 2 million into this project, and another 2 million in the annual one-time expenses you keep hearing me mention. But we'll make what works what you approve, but that number of 47 million didn't just come by throwing a dart at the wall. It was a lot of hours and a lot of head knocking on our end that we all had to come to terms on what was important and what wasn't. And we hope to come in less. 25 will be tough, but we'll do what we can to make that work, and we'll come back and it'll be y'all's choice from there. We feel like the 47 million was a very fair and modest approach on that. But thank you.
Yeah, that wasn't a stab at the school board. I was just saying.
Yeah. I know it wasn't from you. I was just clearing it up for those that hear and that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that 25, that may change, but no, I understand the school board. I mean, school board's elected just like we are. Y'all are, y'all are to be looking after the taxpayers as well, so, no.
Yeah, but I'm not stuck on the 25. Y'all are stuck on the 25. I think we can borrow 25. Then by this time next year, the money will be there to fund the other 5 million without having to max us out on our debt. And I also think this body has been very good to the school system. If this, even at the 45, it'd be 43 that we've approved, and plus another 15 million for projects we've approved in the last 2 years. So we've invested almost $60 million if it's passed like it is in our school system. So I believe that this body's been very fair and very spending with their school system to upgrade when you go almost $60 million if this passes tonight. So I'm not saying that 30 million is not going to cover it. I'm saying that we need to borrow 25 million to keep us a buffer. Then in a year from now, you might have the other 5 million. If not, we'll make plans to fix it to make sure the other 5 million is there. But I think the 25 million is not a dead number when you look at what your fund balance could grow to next year, and you can help us help you and still stay with the county buffer. So I'm not saying 25 million. I'm saying 30 million will probably do the project. But you got a year from now or a year and a half from now to help that in the fund reserve to pay for the other 5 million, if that makes sense.
It does, and I certainly didn't mean to imply you're being unfair on that. I just wanted you to know that number came with a lot of work to get to that, to get as low as we could, to shoot for what we were told to target for, and not to get above.
Just one more question. So how long will it take the school board to come back with this motion that's been requested tonight for the list of that? Is that something that's going to take several months to get back to the commission?
I think the amendment would probably come back as early as next month, because I think that is, for the most part, done. But that's why I took you off the $17 million number, because the annual expenses tied to that would all need to be done at one time, get one amendment. That way we're not coming back a month or two from now adding something else to it. As far as the number for the project in Charlotte, at best, you're looking at 3 months, probably 4. We have budgetary numbers. They're good numbers, but getting the direction to turn these guys loose, to go to more detail, the detail that you've asked for to look at plans would be more the challenge than actually the budgetary number. They've worked the budgetary numbers up pretty well. So,
Commissioner Beatty?
I just look at this motion that this is at least getting us going where we're not doing anything right now. I'm correct. Like I said, this at least lets y'all get going, and if there's other numbers there, you're going to come back. So I guess I'm just maybe a little confused why we don't let this go with this motion and let them get started, and then if we have to adjust, we can. But am I correct? This is just letting them get going?
You're correct. Any other questions or discussion?
You know what, Mayor? The rest of the season, I want to go back the next 2 years, and now all of this bar and everything, 47. We had 60 million. We got money to build 2 new schools. Isn't that ironic? That we're going to repair the old schools and we ain't going to have no new schools and going to spend that kind of money? That's pretty good, something to think about. That's what the taxpayers think about too. You know. And I think, what is y'all's budget for salaries and retirements and everything? About 60% of what you receive every year?
I probably need to defer that to the finance director, but I think it's going to be probably more in the 80% range. Just time you figure benefits, pay, and everything,
Yeah.
our biggest expense is payroll. Schools are made up of people.
I knew it was several years back, so I figured it still was. Well, I'm just from the old common sense side, just like you do a project, you know, I'd like to see it bid it here in Dickson County, not go to Nashville, wherever. Get local people to do it, you know. Have the project manager, let them oversee it. Let them make sure that somebody's answering to somebody. Then they can come back and answer to us, we get answer to the taxpayers. You know, and it's got out of hand. I mean, the whole thing's out of hand, you know, in my opinion. But I'm just one, so.
Any other questions or discussion?
I would just like to say one thing, that the board, they are made up of elected officials. They were elected just like we are elected, and they have twice as many constituents as we do because their one district takes up 2 of ours. So I think their shoulders feel the responsibility of being responsible and making sure their money is going to the best way it can be spent.
Thank you.
Mayor, you got something to say about that? You go out in public, and I tell everybody, if we had 10 people out of each district that was sitting out there in pews, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now. There'd be a lot of stuff changed because we'd have so much backlash, and if people come to the school board like they should, it wouldn't be done over there either. So, I mean, just because that I'm elected, I'm not elected of my own opinion. I got other people I answer to, you know, and I think that's where all of us are. We fall short because we think we know what's going on and what we're going to, you know, do, and we just do it. So, you know, I said I'm going to shut up. I'm going to this time.
I got no answer for you. Any other questions or comments?
Call for the question.
Question called for. Without objection. All in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next item of business,
Thank you.
approval of notaries. Madam Clerk. Thank you, Mr. Haley.
Susan Allhite, Donna Aldridge, Heather Allen, Marty Allison, Leonard G. Belmars II, Mary Connors, Aaron Gonzalez, Jacob Haley, Tammy Hall, Patricia Hayes, Tasha Haynes, Megan Hodges, Brianna Hoffman, Tiffany Lane, Alan Miller, Kyle Lee Millsap, Mark Odell, Brittany Smith, and Bobby Webb.
Motion by Commissioner Buckner, second by Commissioner Spicer. All in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Announcements. Any announcements to be made?
I got one thing right before that, Mayor. I spoke with the sheriff 2 weeks ago about changing the speed limit on Old Stage Road. I'd like to have that on the agenda for April.
Old Stage, one end to the other.
It's from Suffolk Fork to the Tucker Crossroads up there.
What crossroad was it? Tucker?
Tucker.
Tucker Crossroad. Oh. Any other announcements?
Barbecue about April 11th, aren't we, Rob? That means help. Oh, can't do fish. We ain't got cookers.
I'm going to, if there's no other announcements, I want to make the final announcement, then I want to make 2 announcements after the meeting because they're not governmental. So unless there's no other announcements, the next regular session meeting will be on Monday, April 20th, 2026 at 7 p.m. in the Beaverdale Booty Reed Jr. County Commission Chamber, the Dickson County Administration Building, 4 Court Square, Charlotte, Tennessee. Have a motion second adjourned. Thank you. The non-governmental ones, I think we have a mayoral forum tomorrow morning at 7:30. Y'all go home and get you some rest. Yeah. It is in the morning, isn't it? 7:30. Somebody take notes for me. Oh, it should be. Another announcement, Sheriff Eads.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. Real quick, I just want to, it is election year, and so the barbecue will be this Saturday at 5, starts at 5. Fairgrounds. All of you are invited. You'll have an envelope with a couple complimentary tickets. Those of you that are retiring, Mayor, Commissioner, y'all also have an invite if you want to come give a farewell. Give everybody 3 or 4 minutes on the mic.
Oh, I got plenty I want to say.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm also extending that any other candidates that are running. I'm trying to reach out to them and let them know we'd love to have you. Bring your kids, grandkids. We got face painting, cornhole, and all you can eat barbecue. So y'all come join us and say hi to everybody. Thank you, Mayor.